I didn't talk in detail about my education plan, so let me outline what my top priorities are. Priority number one is to change No Child Left Behind, which left the money behind. Part of the problem was that it was not funded properly. I think every school district is aware of that. But there's a more fundamental problem, which is all the assessments are based on a single standardized high-stakes test. And because it doesn't measure the growth of a student can come in 3 grade levels behind, end the year only 1 grade level behind, caught up 2 years in that 1 year, and that teacher in that school can still be labeled a failure. So it doesn't accurately measure what's taking place. And it's also forcing teachers increasingly to teach to the test, which is excluding art and music and social studies and history and foreign languages, things that our children need, not only to be effective competitors in the world economy, but also to be good citizens, which is part of what we should be teaching our kids. So I want to change that. That's point number one. Point number two, investing in early childhood education to close the achievement gap. Because the kids you talk about in some very poorly financed schools, they're already starting school behind the first day they step in. Their vocabularies are often smaller. They don't know their numbers, don't know their letters, don't know their shapes and colors. And so giving high quality early childhood education in those communities is absolutely critical. Number three, investing in teachers, increasing teacher salaries and providing them more support, because the teacher is the single most important person in the school when it comes to education, and we've got to empower our teachers more effectively. Now, I put my money where my mouth is on this. I've proposed $18 billion a year in additional education spending in those areas. And I include after-school programs and summer school programs so the kids who don't have anywhere to go aren't losing out. But the states, when it comes to just the basic funding of the schools, it's still primarily a state function. Even when I double, or at least increase by 50 or 60, 70% the amount of money that's coming from the federal government's still only going to account for 11, 12, 13% of education funding. And so the lion's share is still at the state and local levels, and as president I can use the bully pulpit to say to the states, you know, find funding formulas that are fair to every child in the state. And I will repeatedly say that because the only reason I'm standing here is I got a good education. And when I drive through parts of Chicago and I see young men standing on street corners without prospects for the future and without hope, they could be me. The only thing that separates me from them is my education. And in a knowledge-based economy, that's the only thing that's going to ensure that our children have a good future. The problem is right now, we give lip service to education, but we don't really believe urgently enough that every child should have a good education. We think of them as those kids instead of our kids. And that mentality has to change, and I'm going to change it as President of the United States of America. All right? Okay. Gentlemen up there.